start killing people like they have in the past, I think they're going to get hit very hard by the United States.
ובאשר לאיראן,
And regarding Iran, which pulls the strings of terror in the Middle East and beyond the Middle East, President Trump and I have taken a firm stance. We will not let Iran rebuild its ballistic missile industry, and we certainly will not allow it to renew its nuclear program, which we severely damaged during the operation with Rising Lion. Our joint stance regarding Iran remains firm. Zero the capability to speculate, the removal of all enriched uranium from Iran, and strict and continuous monitoring of nuclear facilities.
The government of Israel, the state of Israel, and my policy, we identify with the struggle of the Iranian people, with their aspirations for freedom and liberty and justice. And it is very possible that we are at a moment when the Iranian people are taking their fate into their own hands.
Iran's deepening economic troubles appear poised to escalate dramatically in the near future despite the eruption of massive nationwide protests, desperately demanding immediate relief from crushing hyperinflation and skyrocketing living costs that have devastated ordinary families. Over 35 dead so far, over 1,200 arrested as protests spread to 27 of 31 provinces, according to harrowing on-the-ground reporting from The Guardian, painting a picture of regime forces struggling to contain fury now engulfing nearly every corner of the Islamic Republic. As Iran frantically grapples with runaway hyperinflation eroding purchasing power daily, essential food prices may surge by as much as 30% in the coming weeks alone, according to economic analyses tracking subsidy elimination impacts on basic household staples. This painful price spike across markets will directly result from Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian's bold decision to slash subsidized US dollars previously allocated for critical essential imports like wheat, medicine, and cooking oil that sustain the population. The controversial reformist move unfolds amid Pezeshkian's broader high-stakes efforts to urgently stabilize Iran's chaotic foreign exchange market roiled by parallel rates, while simultaneously launching aggressive measures to curb rampant corruption siphoning national wealth. Previously, these vital subsidies flowed indirectly to wealthy importers manipulating the system through artificially favorable exchange rate privileges that fueled elite enrichment rather than reaching ordinary consumers struggling to feed their families. Earlier on December 5th, Iran's fractious parliament narrowly approved the general outlines of the national budget framework governing fiscal policy and allocations for the upcoming calendar year amid heated debates over economic survival strategies. Significant proposed budget revisions will dramatically expand public sector pay rises to as much as 43% across government payrolls instead of the previously planned modest 20% increase, aiming to restore crushed purchasing power for state employees. The reforms additionally slash the value-added tax burden on consumers from the current punishing 12% rate down to a more manageable 10%, while carving out targeted relief measures for low-income households nationwide. Furthermore, the government plans to allocate a substantial $8.8 billion war chest in subsidized foreign exchange specifically earmarked to strategically curb explosive price rises on basic everyday goods that spark social unrest across urban centers. This comprehensive economic stabilization plan was first detailed by The Guardian on December 5th amid palpable nervousness rippling through senior ranks of the Iranian government over President Trump's explicit intervention threats looming over the horizon. These risky concessions emerge precisely as sustained nationwide protests raging against Iran's unbearable rising costs of living stubbornly entered their tense ninth consecutive day of paralyzing street demonstrations and university occupations. Official government statistics reluctantly released on Monday confirmed that inflation throughout Greater Tehran had skyrocketed to an unsustainable 52.6% rate throughout December, obliterating savings and fueling public desperation. As geopolitical tensions threaten to boil catastrophically across the Middle East, the regime's alleged brutal clampdown systematically targeting unarmed protesters has dramatically fueled Tehran's cascading troubles on the international diplomatic stage. President Donald Trump has once again publicly vowed that the United States stands fully prepared to militarily intervene and come directly to the defense of brave Iranian protesters should security forces attack or massacre peaceful demonstrators.
There's been protesters killed in Iran. You said we were locked and loaded, ready to go. What is the line there for when the U.S. is going to get involved in those protests?
We'll take a look. We're watching it very closely. If they start killing people like they have in the past, I think they're going to get hit very hard by the United States.
Amid Trump's intensifying rhetorical threats warning of consequences, Tehran's foreign ministry bitterly accused the U.S. president of waging insidious psychological warfare, calculated to demoralize and divide the Iranian people against their government. According to graphic eyewitness reports circulating rapidly across social media platforms, Iranian security forces had brazenly opened live fire directly on unarmed protester crowds, escalating death tolls and international outrage. On December 5, United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres urgently called upon Iran to immediately respect and protect demonstrators' fundamental human right to protest peacefully, without fear of lethal retaliation from state forces. Meanwhile, an explosive front-page investigation published by the Times shockingly alleged that Iran's reclusive Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has meticulously planned a personal escape route should demonstrations overwhelm regime control. A classified intelligence report exclusively shared with the Times urgently warned about disturbingly high chances that Tehran's iron-fisted security apparatus could ultimately prove incapable of suppressing the rapidly metastasizing nationwide protests. Iran's 86-year-old supreme leader reportedly plans to execute this contingency by rapidly escaping to political asylum in Russia, alongside a tight-knit close circle consisting of up to 20 most trusted aides, family members, and regime loyalists. The high-risk exit strategy draws chilling tactical inspiration from the narrow escape of Khamenei's longtime Syrian ally Bashar al-Assad, who dramatically fled his collapsing Damascus stronghold aboard a Russian government transport plane bound for Moscow sanctuary.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest newsmakers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.